Welcome back to Cursed Conversations.
Today, I'll be your host, Angela.
And I'll be your co-host, Sophie.
Today, we're going to be talking about the shadowy past of one of the most notorious serial killers in American history, H.H. Holmes, the man behind the infamous murder castle in Chicago.
Wow.
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 Wow. So he was born as Herman Webster Mudgett in 1861.
Mudgett.
Yes.
That's his last name?
Mudgett.
Oh.
Very unique.
Very.
So, H.H. Holmes became one of the most terrifying figures of the late 19th century. But it wasn't just his twisted crimes that made him famous. It was the sinister house he built in Chicago, which would become the scene of unimaginable horror. So today we'll explore the chilling story of Holmes' so-called murder castle, a building designed specifically to carry out his gruesome murders.
Wow.
All I'm saying is that's some commitment.
That is.
To the wrong thing.
Imagine if he put that into something else. Put that same amount of effort put in.
Solve world hunger. I'm just
For
saying.
real. But he chose to do that instead.
Yeah. Alright. Before he became the infamous H.H. Holmes, the man who would terrorize the streets of Chicago, he was born as Herman Webster Mudgett in 1861 in Gilmanton. Mudgett came from a respectable family and through his early life seemed relatively unremarkable. There were signs that all was not right in his young mind. His early years were marked by unusual behavior. He was often described as a quiet child, but one who had a fascination with death and the macabre. As a young boy, he was said to have been involved in disturbing pranks, such as playing with animal cadavers and scaring his peers.
Huh.
Later, he would go on to study medicine, where he quickly learned the art of deception.
Why are so many murderers and serial killers doctors?
That's a good question. I do not have the answer for that, but that's a good question.
And my future pal is a doctor.
Don't
gotta move away.
Sophie, we've been friends since, grade 8, You wouldn't do anything to me, would you?
No.
If I ever go missing, we know why.
Definitely not me.
He's my witness, right, Amir?
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna be okay, you know what?
He's my accomplice. He's not your witness.
You admit it! Okay, moving on from my possible future death. So, Holmes' manipulative nature soon began to emerge. In medical school, he reportedly stole corpses from local morgues, using them to commit insurance fraud by claiming the bodies as victims of accidents that were part of his elaborate scams. It wasn't long before he dropped the name Herman Mudgett, taking the moniker H.H. Holmes, a name that would go down in history as synonymous with horror. After several years of moving between various cities with committing a series of frauds, H.H. Holmes eventually made his way to Chicago in the early 1890s. It was here, in the midst of the excitement surrounding the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition, that he would set his sights on a new, more terrifying project, building a house of death.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
So he made money by being a doctor and then used that money to plan his murder.
But he also made money by stealing bodies and selling them as people that died in accidents.
Very elaborate plan. That started very long ago.
Yeah. I'm surprised that no one, questioned how did he get so many bodies? What accidents was he a part of?
At that time, medical, technology isn't that great.
Oh, it was terrible.
So they couldn't really do much. And it's probably just, malpractice or something.
If you need an amputation, you're So, In 1889, Holmes purchased a plot of land in the Englewood neighborhood of Chicago and began constructing what would later become known as the Murder Castle. The building was meant to be a hotel, catering to visitors attending the World's Fair. But what Holmes built was far from a normal hotel. It was a labyrinth nightmare. The castle, as it came to be called, was a 3-story structure with over 100 rooms, many of which were designed for one thing: death. There were secret passageways, trapdoors, soundproof rooms, gas chambers, and even a chute that led directly into a basement furnace.
He built death chambers.
Yep. Holmes had crafted a perfect killing machine, and he would later use it to carry out his twisted desires.
God.
It's a lovely house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather invest in a good garden.
Good garden. I mean, you don't want a murder castle?
No. I want like a historic, traditional Chinese garden with a pond, with a bridge over the pond.
I think that might be a bit different than a murder castle.
Just a bit.
Just a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised about the trap doors though.
Yeah.
Because wouldn't trap doors be a bit obvious?
I mean, they could be like under rugs and stuff.
That's true.
Or like there would be like you see in the movies, like a bookshelf and a book.
You pull a book.
You pull a
and it's
book.
like, oh no! I'm falling.
Or like a door opens, like, oh.
Do I go in or do I not go in? I'd go in. I have to say I'd go in.
And then you become a victim.
Yo, you give me a secret door and it just opens, I'm going in.
That's the most white thing I've heard.
My bad!
It's always the white people that go.
I'm going to build like secret rooms in my future house.
Yeah, me too.
For books and like
Oh yeah. Like a library, you know.
Library or like a wine shelf,
Mm-hmm.
wine chamber.
All right, that was a 2-minute off-topic talk. So, to the unsuspecting guests, the building appeared to be a modern, luxurious hotel, equipped with the latest amenities. But beneath the surface, it was anything but. Holmes had designed it with a specific purpose in mind: to lure women, rob them, and kill them in the most efficient ways possible. Holmes's murder spree began shortly after the hotel opened in 1893, and it continued for several years. His victims were often women who had come to Chicago to start a new life or find work. Holmes would charm them with his good looks and charm, and then offer them a job or place to stay at his hotel. Once inside, the women were at his mercy. Holmes would often lead them to a room where he had specifically designed traps, rooms with doors that locked from the outside, secret passages, or rooms filled with toxic gas.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then some of his victims were suffocated, others were disfigured and mutilated, and some were simply never seen again.
No one knows what happened to them.
Yeah. So you can see how he would use the trapdoors and the gas chambers, and I'm assuming the ones that were never seen again were put in the furnace.
Oh.
Yeah.
They don't even have the bones or like anything.
Yeah. So the stories of the victims are horrifying and varied, as you can tell. Mm-hmm. Some were said to have been murdered for the money or valuables they carried, others for their insurance policies. One of the most well-known victims was a young woman named Julia Smith, who had been engaged to Holmes.
Oh.
She, along with her daughter, was never seen again after visiting the hotel.
Oh no, not the kid.
Yeah. I'm assuming they were both put in the furnace or like buried.
Oh wow.
So this is what he looked like. This is what he looked like. That's a very...
The Lorax.
I was gonna say... that's a very large mustache.
The Lorax. Imagine an orange little guy with a top hat luring you.
This guy with the very big mustache and top hat would lure women with his charm. Would you be charmed by this man? He's balding too. You can see it here.
No.
Amir, would you be charmed by this balding man with a fine mustache and hat?
I would.
One of the most chilling aspects of Holmes's murders was his ability to keep the deaths under wraps. The hotel's complex design allowed him to hide his crimes.
Keep it hush hush.
And he often disposed of the bodies by using a furnace in the basement to burn the remains, or by selling the body parts to local medical schools for profit.
Right. Medical schools need cadavers. Yeah. They never wonder where he gets those bodies.
I was gonna say, they just poof, here's a arm, here's a leg. You need a heart, I got you. Just give me like a week. I'll find a new one. I mean, I'll help you, find one.
Does he have like orders? like
Hey, H.H. Holmes, I need a heart by next week. Chop chop. Chop chop.
Yo, H.H. Holmes, my science project is due soon.
Imagine a kid being like, I need a hand. Oh, God. H.H. Holmes' reign of terror came to an end in 1895, when he was finally arrested.
Yay.
But
oh, no.
it wasn't his killing spree that led to his capture. It was his involvement in yet another insurance fraud scheme. Holmes had scammed several people, including his own associates, by taking out life insurance policies on them and then orchestrating their deaths.
Wow.
Yeah. So he wasn't actually arrested because of the murders.
He was arrested because of fraud.
It's actually really funny because a lot of murderers don't actually get arrested because of the murders. It's always
they get arrested because of fraud or like assault.
A slip up, bro.
Yeah.
So his plan unraveled when one of his accomplices, a man named Benjamin Pizzol, was found dead under suspicious circumstances. Authorities soon discovered that Pizzol had been killed by Holmes, who had then forged documents to claim his insurance policy.
Oh.
So as investigators dug deeper into Holmes's background, they uncovered evidence of his involvement in numerous murders, many of which were traced back to his murder castle. The building was raided, and what they found inside shocked even the most seasoned detectives.
I would be shocked.
Yeah. So in the basement of the castle, they found human remains, dismembered bodies, and a variety of gruesome tools. The house, which had once seemed like a place of promise and prosperity, was now seen as the site of one of the most horrific murder sprees in American history.
Damn.
H.H. Holmes was arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder, although the true number of his victims is still unknown. Some estimates suggest he may have killed as many as 200 people, but the exact figure remains a mystery. Holmes was eventually tried for the murder of Benjamin Pizzol, and in 1896 was sentenced to death by hanging.
He was charged for one?
I'm assuming he was charged for multiple.
Oh.
To be, sentenced to hanging.
I'm like, just one? He killed that many and was sentenced to one.
I think there were like a few bones in his basement.
Just a few hundred?
Just a few. Anyways, so Holmes was executed on May 7th, 1896, but his story didn't end there. Over the years, rumors persisted that Holmes may not have been executed at all. Some believed he may have escaped, or that his death was faked to allow him to continue his dark work elsewhere. However, most historians believe he did, in fact, die.
I hope he died.
I hope so, too. After his execution, the fate of the murder castle was equally grim. The building was eventually destroyed in 1938, and a post office was built on the site. But even today, people claim to feel strange presences in the area. Some believe that the spirits of Holmes's victims still haunt the grounds, their souls forever trapped by the horrors they endured.
Crazy thought, though, but I actually wanted to visit this castle because of just like how like all the trapdoors.
For once, you want to visit it,
and it's teared down, so we can't go. But like genuinely though, I want to see what he actually does, like what he made in those rooms.
I think we can.
But like I'm actually like interested in what actually happens, or like what things he put into those rooms. Like I understand why they teared it down, but like
Yeah.
I'm like
The architecture must have been really good though.
Yeah, like also who did he employ to make these, and did they never like suspect anything?
That is a fair question.
Like he obviously didn't build it himself. He
No.
employed somebody. And did they never just question why does every room lead to a tunnel, a passage, or a trapdoor?
Whoever helped him build that castle, tisk tisk.
Tisk,
You're
tisk.
probably dead, but... So now the legacy of H.H. Holmes and his murder castle still looms over Chicago. Though the physical structure is gone, the stories of his crimes continue to captivate the public imagination. Holmes became one of the first widely recognized serial killers in America, and his ability to manipulate, deceive, and murder with cold efficiency remains a chilling testament to his twisted mind. As we look back on this dark chapter in American history, it serves as a grim reminder of the evil that can sometimes lurk just beneath the surface, behind the charming facade of a man, in the shadows of a building, or hidden behind the walls of our everyday lives. So that is H.H. Holmes and his murder castle. You know, Webster Mudgett, amazing guy.
Amazing.
H.H. Holmes, not that good.
I mean, Webster Mudgett, he was also fascinated with dead bodies.
Oh yeah, as a kid he was, f***ed in the head.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of murderers have that tendency, don't they?
A lot of murderers,
They have fascinations to dead things.
yeah,
And then
when
that-
they're kids especially.
Yeah, and then that obsession turns into fascination with killing things.
Yeah.
Which turns into, the things turn into people.
Not very fun.
No,
No,
but that seems to be a pattern.
it does.
I think psychologically, people, analyze that.
Yes.
If your kids ever have a fascination to dead things,
Get him therapy.
yeah,
Put him in a psych ward.
maybe just
Medicate them. But yeah, anyways, so that was today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any recommendations on topics that we should touch on in the future, please leave a recommendation and we might get into it
in the far future.
20
Very
years. All right. Anyways, so I was your host, Angela.
And I was your co-host, Sophie.
And that's it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. On the top again.
I feel very unloved, for the record. I have to say I go in.
And then you become a victim.
Yo, you give me a secret door and it just opens, I'm going in.
That's the most white thing I've heard.
My bad!
It's always the white people that go fucking let him me.
Unfortunately, his targets are all women.
Oh. Wait, what was this about?
He do
He's a murderer.
a murder.
He built a
Oh,
murder
just
house.
a random guy.
No! He's backing up the other way.
What the?
He's backing up the other way.
Yo, they drove past this way, backed up, turned around, backed up